Hello everyone and welcome back to Car Venus 14. Now today we are going to be talking about Xianyun again. Xianyun, I should say. I keep calling her Genuine sometimes and it's not right, so I should call her Xianyun. Yes, Xianyun, guys, if you didn't know, I've already made a full-on video about, well, 2 videos previously about my, kind of my preferences and predictions and why I'm going to be pulling for her soon. And also I made a video going over her entire kit, her weapons, stuff like that, and yeah, basically those types of videos. So if you do want to check them out, go ahead and do check them out on my channel. While you're down there, you may as well subscribe and like and, you know, help a young man out, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, on with the next point I wanted to make. Xianyun, if you guys didn't realize, is a healer, right? She can heal from her burst. You see this? Continuously, periodically heals the nearby characters when her burst is active, right? So the healing scales off her attack, which means that she can actually, you know, you build damage on her and it will actually heal while also dealing damage. So now, if you guys didn't know, there is one character that came out recently that is making healers very relevant in the game again. And obviously that character being Furina. So Furina is actually enabling Xianyun DPS even more. Right? Now I know what you're thinking. This is really good for Xianyun support as well, but if you guys know me by now, I will main some of the most ridiculous things. And Xianyun, out of all of them, probably isn't the most ridiculous thing to actually DPS on field, because she's already technically a sub DPS rather than an actual support because of the way that her elemental skill kind of works, right? So she is a bit more of a sub DPS than a full-on support compared to someone like Shen He, right? So I was thinking, Furina as a support for Xianyun DPS might actually be really damn good. And I know what you're thinking, well, surely you'll have a burst problem, right? Well, we'll get onto that. We'll get onto that, right, guys? We will get onto that, because there is things out there that can actually make Xianyun DPS a little bit more viable in terms of even energy recharge problems, right? Which you could be running into, because a lot of people are saying that Xianyun DPS, like for Xianyun to actually have enough energy, like you need about 200% energy recharge or something like that. 200% energy recharge, in my opinion, seems a little bit too high. I really say around 180% to 200% realistically, but it really does depend on the composition you're running. If you're running her in like a triple Animo team, right, like Zhao, Faruzan, and then Xianyun, right, you won't really need, I mean, to be fair, that team isn't really great for generating particles for Xianyun anyway. But if you were to smack someone like Sucrose into that team, you're a silly person. What am I trying to say is, if you were to give Xianyun a decent enough team to battery, maybe someone like, you know, something like Zhao, Faruzan, maybe Xianyun, and then Bennett, right? Because Bennett produces a decent amount of particles. Or you could replace Bennett with Fischl, right? And Fischl actually does produce a lot of particles. Honestly, kind of underrated, Fischl as a unit. To be fair, I feel as though people just don't talk about Fischl that much, because she does create a lot of energy particles, and the best part is you can smack Tenacity of the Millilith on her, and she'll actually be a really good attack buffing support for Zhao as well. So honestly, it's actually not a bad option to use Fischl in this team either. But what I'm trying to say, guys, is Xianyun's energy recharge isn't necessarily a huge problem, or at least I don't think it is as big as people are trying to make it you know, as big as it is. So yeah, but what I'm trying to say, guys, is this video is mainly about Xianyun DPS. Now, Xianyun DPS is definitely going to be viable. I'll make sure of it. I'm going to make it viable, right? And whether it's good in Spiral Abyss or not, I'm not sure. I'm not a meta content creator. I don't make these things for meta. I make them because it's for fun, you know? I don't actually do the Spiral Abyss. I'm not gonna lie, I've never to be fair, I have done the Spiral Abyss all the way up to like floor 8, but I never really did the other floors. So I don't really care that much for Spiral Abyss. I'm more of a husbando slash waifu player rather than a meat. I mean, the way I like to word it is I'm a meat over meta player. You know what I'm saying? Meat over meta. Anyway. Basically, guys, I'm a meat over meta player. So because of that, I think Xianyun DPS is definitely going to be a very fun pick, right? For people that are also like me, meat over meta players. Put in the comment section down below if you're a meat over a meta player or a meta over a meat player. So yeah. Anyway, guys, as you all know, Xianyun heals. Furina drains HP based off of the amount of max HP that everyone has, right? You can see here that the elemental skill damage, yeah, it does scale off of, you know, what's it called? Max HP, Furina's max HP. Then you've got the consumption, 2.4%, 1.6%, 3.6%. So yeah, you're going to be draining a lot of max HP, right? And obviously someone like Furina is going to be increasing the amount of damage you do with her burst, right? With how much fanfare stacks you can generate. Now, Furina drains HP, Xianyun heals HP back up. So those two will generate so much fanfare stacks for each other that you'll be able to hit the max 300 at C0, mind you. The max 300 like very, very quickly. Of course, this is depending on if you can actually get her burst back up fast enough, right? And a team composition that would be a decent one for Xianyun, I think, would be something like Xianyun DPS, Furina as a support, right? And then what you can do is you can go like an energy recharge unit and a dedicated damage buffing unit. So you could go Bennett for the damage buffing and someone like Fischl, right? Yeah, Fischl wouldn't be bad, but of course there is the overload reaction there, which you don't really want, right? Because it'll be, overload will kind of get rid of the vaporize, so it's not an excellent team, mind you. But overload isn't a bad thing for someone like Xianyun, because overload will obviously make enemies explode in a massive AoE, but Xianyun has the fortunate ability of being a catalyst user, so overload isn't really a bad reaction for her. If anything, it gives her more AoE than she already has. So, yeah. It's not a bad thing, but it's pretty decent, right? Or you could even use the Electro Traveler with someone else in terms of attack buffing. Like you could use Sucrose with Tenacity of the Millilith plus the Electro Traveler and Furina. You'll have a pseudo Taser team with that comp. Yeah, is it really a great team to use Xianyun on? Probably not, because she won't be able to apply Swirl as well as someone like Sucrose. But actually, she will be able to, especially if you're weaving in normal attacks. I forget that she's a catalyst user sometimes, even though I just made that point. Yeah. But what I'm trying to say, guys, is she can actually kind of be the enabler of a taser comp here, because she's a catalyst user, and the way that her elemental skill works with the grouping and stuff like that, she can definitely enable taser comps quite well. Not as well as Sucrose, I say, because Sucrose is, like, the way Sucrose just applies Animo, in my opinion, is just better than Xianyun ever will be. But she's definitely is an excellent alternative while also providing more personal damage for herself. So it's a pretty well-rounded team, that one is. And you've got energy recharge solved, you've got damage boosting solved in 2 different scenarios, and you've also got CC grouping as well. So it's a pretty decent team if you think about it. Yeah. Now, another reason why Xianyun and Furina are absolutely going to be best friends is because Xianyun's personal damage will be boosted by Furina, but on top of that, Furina as a character is honestly one of the very few characters in the game that I say is a must-pull, simply because of the fact that not because she just boosts the amount of damage, but just because of the amount of extra content that she allows you to use, right? Like, there's a lot of mechanics in Fontaine that, you know, are tied to draining HP and stuff like that. Heck, we're going to talk about them now. In fact, one weapon that is absolutely insane on one specific character but not amazing on other characters is a weapon known as the Tome of Eternal Flow. Now, the Tome of Eternal Flow gives you a very nice increase in damage when it comes to charge attacks. Now, I know what it sounds like, guys. Xianyun does not work amazingly with charge attacks, right? I mean, I actually did check this, and Xianyun's charge attacks at level 10, at least, right, is 221%. Now, I know it's at talent level 10, but that just means the rest of her scalings are just as low, right, if not lower. So, I did check, and Xianyun has one of the lowest charge attack multipliers in the game out of all of the Catalyst users. Yeah, in fact, I think she's like 4th or 5th worst when it comes to charge attack multipliers. It's absolutely insane how low her multipliers are for charge attacks, right? But I guess the reason for that is kind of because she ascends with, you know, attack percent. So her, like, total attack, even without, excuse me, even without artifacts or, you know, weapons or anything like that, is actually going to be a little bit higher. In fact, if you combine, if you actually do, you know, have the base attack of her here, plus the bonus attack, which she will ascend off, you can get around 600 attack. Yeah, 600, like, attack without weapons or even, you know, artifacts, just because of this passive here. So, in actuality, Xianyun will actually end up with a bit more higher attack than a lot of other DPS, than a lot of other Catalyst units, right? Which means, and if you didn't know, the normal attack scaling will scale off of your total attack, right? Yeah, so because of that, charge attacking might actually not be too bad of a thing for Xianyun to utilize because of the way that she ascends with attack and because of her high base attack, right? So this weapon might actually not be a bad shout. Now, I know what you're thinking, right? Well, this weapon is great. It really is with the crit damage. But the problem is it only gives you 542 base attack at level 90, right? Yeah, 542. But you see, guys, the thing is attack percent realistically only matters on Xianyun if you're using her as a support, right? Because let's take a look at her, what's it called? Let's take a look at her own weapon. Right, let me see. Where did I put it? Ah, here, okay. Yeah, so Xianyun's, okay, this weapon at max rank gives you 741. 741 minus 542 is, 299, basically. Yeah, 299, like, lower base attack. I did do that correctly, right? Yeah, I did do it correctly. 741 minus 542 is 299 base attack loss. But you're gaining so much extra crit damage. And to be fair, the attack percent you're actually getting from this weapon is also going to add on top of that. So realistically, this weapon is going to give you so much more attack percent, right, compared to something like that weapon. It also is a really good best in slot for Xianyun, simply because it just increases all plunging attacks, right? It increases her plunging attack damage by 28%, even after she uses her elemental skill. This applies onto her as well, right, guys? And it's a really good weapon because it gives her more energy, right? When another character, when another nearby party member plunges, right? So yeah, if you use her elemental burst and then use her elemental skill, you can actually get a lot of energy back for her in this way. But what if you just want more personal damage for Xianyun? What if you just want as much Unga Bunga crit damage, big numbers that you want to see? Well, this weapon, I think, is actually going to be better simply because of the massive crit damage. Now, of course, it does rely on your crit rate and other things like that. But if you can get a decent amount of crit rate plus this weapon's crit damage, yeah, you're in for a very fun time. Now, of course, the passive may seem completely useless for her, but you can weave charge attacks. And of course, a problem with this weapon is that it mainly revolves around plunging attacks. Now, obviously, as Xianyun DPS, you're not going to be just doing plunging attacks. You're going to be doing normal attacks. You're going to be doing charge attacks. You're going to be jumping up and down doing plunge attacks at some times, right? But as Xianyun DPS, you don't want to just focus on her burst as well as her elemental skill and leave nothing out for her auto attacks, right? Because there's a very long downtime for when you can use either of them. Her burst has an 18-second cooldown, right? Yeah, an 18-second cooldown. Look at that, guys. 18-second cooldown. And her elemental skill, provided you don't have C1, is a 12-second. So you do have a pretty decent downtime for not being able to do anything, right? In terms of normal and charge attacks. So in terms of, like, damage outside of that, this weapon definitely does beat it outside of plunging attacks and stuff like that. Yeah, your plunging attacks will actually do more damage, but the thing is I genuinely don't think Xianyun needs more plunging attack damage, especially as a DPS, right? Because, I mean, look at this. Look at the damage multipliers you have on her, like, elemental skill. It's already ludicrously high, right? Yeah, and of course, the increased plunging attack damage is nice, right? It definitely is nice, but realistically, the only way you're going to be able to get that up is after you use her elemental burst, because elemental skill does actually count as plunging attack, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it does say somewhere. Where does it say? It says here somewhere, right? Yeah, damage dealt this way is considered plunging attack damage. So, yes, this definitely will add onto plunging attack damage, right? Plus this multiplier, right? But the thing is after you use your burst, right, and after you use your elemental skill, you will have that downtime of not being able to do any damage simply because of the fact that, you know, you don't have, you know, as great a stat as something like this weapon, right, which gives you crit damage. And this, you can also weave in charge attacks as well. And because your charge attacks are actually higher, right, plus your Ascension bonus stat of attack percent, right, you're actually going to be getting pretty average charge attack damage here. Yeah, and with this weapon combined, maybe even a little bit above average. So it's not a bad thing, right? And the best part is Xianyun has 4 hits during her actual element, like her actual normal talents, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. You can easily do the first 3, then a charge attack, and then you can jump cancel with her burst, right? If you have a burst active, you can jump cancel with her burst, and then go into a plunging attack straight away and do the exact same thing again. 1, 2, 3, charge attack, plunging attack, and then do the entire cycle again. And that's a really good mix of damage that you're going to be doing, right? On top of that, you can also utilize, if you're going with that rotation, you can also utilize a taser comp with, like, you know, Hydro, like someone like Jing-Chi or Yelan, if you have her, and the Traveler, proccing energy recharge and really great single target damage, right? Because Catalyst users at the end of the day are single target damage dealers. So this just amplifies that playstyle even further. So you see, guys, this weapon is actually not a bad option on her, especially if you have someone like Furina, and if you pair Furina with Xianyun. Also, this weapon does actually restore 8 energy, right, when you can fully stack this passive up. And if you fully stack it up, which someone like Furina, you can keep this passive actively going, like, pretty much all the time, because if you're healing with Xianyun and you're decreasing health with Furina, right, you're actually going to be able to have a very nice uptime with this actual passive, right? Yeah. And especially if you have a really great battery who can get their burst up like, you know, if you can get the burst up for Xianyun consistently, you only have a 2-second downtime between, you know, running out of her burst and then using it again. See, 2 seconds there if you can get her burst up 100% of the time, right? Yeah, so that's why this weapon is actually not a bad option on her. It gives her energy, it gives her increased charge attack damage, which you definitely want to be weaving in when you do her normal attacks. And it also gives you a massive amount of, you know, what's it called? This, right, of crit damage. And it also increases your HP. Now, this may not seem that useful, right? But if you're increasing your HP, what's happening here, right? What's happening over here, guys? What is happening over here, right? If you're increasing your HP, right? If you increase your HP, the drain that you're going to be doing from these skills are going to be higher. And what happens when your drain is higher? You generate more fanfare points, right? You generate more fanfare points because your HP is higher, so your max HP is higher. Therefore, you lose more max HP, right, to these skills. And yes, it's 16%, but let's say you have something like, you know, 20,000 max HP, right? 10% of that is 2,000, right? Plus, you know, an extra, what is it? 5% of 2,000, which is 1,000. So that's around 23,500-ish HP, right? That may not seem like a lot, but that's a full 3,500 extra HP, which does translate quite damn well with her elemental skill, right? Yeah, so you're just going to be generating more fanfare stacks just from this one line alone. This one bit here generates you a decent amount more fanfare points, right? On top of the increased charge attack damage and the increased energy. This weapon literally gives everything to, you know, Xianyun. It gives her more damage through Furina here, more damage through Furina here again, and then also more energy again through Furina. Now, obviously, there's a massive problem to this weapon, and that is the fact that everything this weapon's passive relies on is if you have Furina or not. Right, now a lot of people out there don't have Furina, and some of you will be considering getting Furina in the upcoming rerun banner that she's supposed to be getting at some point, right? Because that's just the way that the Archon reruns actually work. So I don't actually have Furina personally, but I am actually considering going for Furina, not just because of the increased damage that she gives, but just because of the fact that she can actually unlock so much more content within the actual game. And in fact, speaking of which, we're going to get onto that bit next, right, which is the artifacts. Now, if you guys didn't know, there's two artifact sets here that kind of revolve around draining your HP. The first one, an obvious one, is Marechaussee Hunter, which basically increases normal and charge attack damage by 15%. And then when your current HP increases or decreases, your crit rate is going to be increased by 12% for 5 seconds, max 3 stacks. So if you can increase and decrease your, what's it called? Your HP consistently, which if you have Furina plus Xianyun, you will be able to, right? That's up to 36% for 5 seconds, constantly, if you can keep this going, which you will be able to, provided you have a really great, provided you actually have a decent rotation, right? Yeah. Now, I know what you're thinking. Oh, well, it all depends on the team. It all depends on the rotation. Yes, I never did say that this was going to be great with Xianyun alone. She does need teammates. But then again, if you want to turn a support into a great DPS, you're going to need excellent teammates. And everyone has C6 Traveler. So the Traveler is a really good fit for a team like this that's kind of energy hungry, that relies on Xianyun's burst. And I know what you're thinking. Well, that's just an extra slot that, is kind of wasted because I need that energy recharge. Now, once again, number one, it depends on your team, and number two, the Traveler can literally utilize the Noblesse Oblige set, which just gives more damage to your Xianyun, so not all is lost. You can actually utilize it very well, because the Electro Traveler's, his burst uptime is actually pretty decent. Yeah, so it's not even that bad, honestly. Yeah. So your Traveler is still going to be buffing you in terms of damage in some sort of way if you think that's a bit of a problem for you, right? Yeah, and because of this, because this gives you 36% crit rate, right? If you have a crit rate, if you can't have a crit rate circlet, 36% plus 31% is 67%, right? Oh, 67%, right? And plus, all characters have a base 5% crit rate, right, at level 1. 5%, right? Yeah, unless they scale with it. So 67 plus 5 is 72. So basically, if you have this set, right? Where is it? If you have this set with a crit rate helmet, you will basically be able to get 72% increased crit rate, which means your subsites, you can just focus on crit damage. Yeah, you don't even need to go for perfect ratios with this. So yeah, of course, the 2-piece is normal and charge attack, but like I said, there's no plunging attack here, but like I said, you're going to be weaving normal and charge attacks with her normal combo anyway. So this set isn't even that bad on her if you just want more crit rate for her. And another set that's really good that I don't really hear a lot of people talking about, I mean, there are a few people talking about it, but not for Xianyun specifically. This set right here, Vermilion Hereafter, is absolutely stupid for her. It's just absolutely amazing for her. Why? Because it gives her attack percent. Great. Now, I need to remind you guys that her Ascension 4 passive here, that's Furina. Her Ascension 4 passive here is, you just get more damage after you use your Elemental Burst that's scaled with 170% of Xianyun's attack, right? Up to 8,500, albeit it is single damage, but hey, it's damage, right? Yeah. So this set, if you actually use Xianyun's Burst, right, after Furina's Elemental skill is down, you basically get 8% initially for using her burst. Then whenever you lose HP, you get 10%, which stacks up to 4 times, so 40%. So let's do the quick math there. 40 plus 8 is 48, plus 18 is 66% increased attack. You are giving Xianyun 66% increased attack with this set after you use your burst, right? Now, why does this synergize so well with Xianyun? The reason it synergizes so damn well is because during her burst is when this passive will activate. This passive is going to activate after you use your elemental burst, right? And obviously if you're using Xianyun as a DPS, you're going to be jumping up and down, obviously, with this set. So that means you're going to be making full use of this Ascension 4 passive, which is absolutely insane. Now, obviously, the cap for this is actually 5,000. So if you do increase your attack by 50%, let's say you have 2,000 attack or 2,500 attack, right? This set will be increasing it by around an extra, what, like 1,250, so 3,750 there, right? And then another 10%. So realistically, you won't even hit the cap. You won't even hit the cap with this set, right? You'll probably get to around 4,200-ish, or 4,000, around 4,000, realistically. Yeah, if you have around 2,500 attack for her, like, you know, as like a starting point. Yeah. So you're not even capping out with this set. Some people might think, oh, well, you might just overcap. Realistically speaking, if you have around 2,000 to 2,500 attack on Xianyun as a DPS, which you probably will be going for, right? It's not even that bad for this set, because you're not even going to be overcapping on her. If anything, you still have a leeway to go even more attack on her. Yeah. So you guys can see why I'm saying Xianyun and Furina, these two, right? These two, Xianyun as well as Furina, are going to work so damn well together, just because of the fact that Xianyun DPS is allowed so much more things with Furina. Right? Not just Xianyun specifically, but Furina just unlocks so much more content for other types of characters as well. Like, now all Catalyst DPSs can make use of this. Like Ningguang, especially heavy charge attack characters like Ningguang, Klee, Yanfei, they can all make use of this excellently. And even other DPS units that can weave in charge attacks, they can use this weapon really well. And, these two artifact sets, Vermilion Hereafter just makes it so that it's like one of the best in slot sets for like a lot of attack scaling units now, right? And even Marachusei Hunter. This is just a really great set to farm anyway because it's just tied with Golden Troop, which means either way you're getting great pieces. So yeah, and this set just gives you more crit rate, so you don't even need to focus on crit rate that much anymore. In fact, you can go for a crit damage helmet with really good crit rate substats and you'll be okay with crit rate. Yeah, so you can see why these two, specifically these two, work so well together, because Furina enables Vermilion Hereafter as well as, you know, Tomb of the Eternal Flow, this weapon and this artifact set, right? Oh, whoops. This weapon and, you know, Vermilion Hereafter, right? And that just synchronizes so damn well with Xianyun's Ascension 4 passive. So, yeah, like, it just synergizes so damn well with her. Now, that's really all I wanted to discuss with you guys in this video on why I believe Furina and Xianyun are going to pair so damn well. Not just because of support Xianyun, like, you know, her supporting someone like Zhao or Diluc or, you know, Hu Tao, even Navia, those types of characters, but Xianyun herself, because of the fact that she's a healer and she's a sub DPS, right, and she has capabilities of being a DPS herself, Furina and Xianyun work so damn well together. And that's just really the point I wanted to make in this video today. Now, hopefully I haven't dragged it out for too long. It's a bit of a shorter video. At least, I wanted it to be a short video, but obviously, me being me, I stretched it out again. So, yeah. That's basically it for this video, guys. I probably will be back with some more Xianyun content, right? In fact, maybe the next video I might actually compare some weapons for her and see if, like, her interactions with how some weapons might actually operate with how Xianyun would work. So, yeah, maybe a bit more of an in-depth weapon guide video, and maybe I might do one for artifact sets or something like that. So, yeah. I will be bringing out more Xianyun content for you guys, and any more Xianyun DPS enjoyers out there, do definitely stay subscribed to me, because there will be more Xianyun content, not just before her release, but also after her release. I definitely do want to do some interesting builds with her, safe to say. So, yeah, trying to currently farm up some really nice sets and weapons for her. Yeah, hopefully everything goes well. So anyway, guys, I have been Carvenus14 and still am, and I hope that a lot of you enjoy the rest of your day. I will see you all very, very soon. Goodbye. Before we do end, actually, I may as well. There we go. Now we have the correct character we're talking about on the screen. Goodbye.